What is up, guys? I do hope you're well. My name is Mark, and today we're looking at some more r/am I the butthole. If you're new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too, as it all truly helps out our channel, and you should know that already. And don't forget we're on podcast too now, so you can take me with you wherever you go. And if you really want to be awesome, you can support the channel too by clicking that join button down below on YouTube, or heading on over to Patreon where you can support me there also. A huge thank you to each and every one of you for turning up every day. You're absolutely amazing people. Thank you for being here. And with that being said, let's get on with today's stories. Much love, guys. Our first story comes from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for saying I would choose to save my mum over my girlfriend? We were playing Truth or Dare the other night with some friends, and a question came up. If your mum and significant other was hanging off a cliff, who would you save and who would you let die? I said, my mum. And my girlfriend got super quiet and excused herself from the room, while other girlfriends shot me dirty looks and went to comfort her. The guys were still out there with me and said I should have just lied, and I was like, no. For what? Like, seriously? For one, I'm not saving any girl over my mother. The fuck? Two, the whole situation was a hypothetical scenario that's unlikely to ever occur in real life, so getting upset about it is petty and childish. And three, relationships are built on honesty. How are we supposed to build if I can't be honest with you? So one of the girlfriend comes out and tells me that the girlfriend wants me to leave. We were all in her house. So I walk into the room, and they're all on the beds, being all sad and girly and hugging each other, and I say, jokingly, babe, it's just a game. If you and my mum were hanging off a cliff, I'd probably let you both fall for being dumb enough to climb a cliff in the first place. Then her friends start screeching at me like a bunch of harpies. Oh my god, how could you say that? You're such an arsehole. Get out of here, you jerk. And at that point, I was just like, I'm not dealing with this, and I left. I broke up with her right after that because there's no way that relationship was going to survive with her having friends that toxic. I'm in a new relationship now, but I never forgot that night. If I was ever asked again in front of my new girlfriend, my answer would be exactly the same. But I was just wondering about it recently. Was I the arsehole? When I was asked that question, should I have just lied? There was one comment on this one that said, nobody's an arsehole here. It's a game, it's no big deal, and you're right, that is highly unlikely to ever happen. In fact, it's just not gonna happen unless your mum and girlfriend are avid rock climbers who decide they want to go together. But, and I'm just going to play devil's advocate here, and try and maybe shed some light on why she was upset. There are certain situations where a person should choose their SO over their parents. Your parents raised you and did a lot for you, but the point of that was to make sure you go off and have your own independent life. Part of that is at times choosing your SO over them because they may not always see eye to eye with your SO, and you're supposed to stand up for your SO unless they're being totally unreasonable. At some point, it's SO over parents. This also leads into a situation where some guys are mama's boys, and I always choose a mum over girlfriend, fiance, or wife, and that gets to be a bit much. Those guys prefer mum's cooking, prefer when mum does their laundry. In general, they like mum more, and they let mum dictate life more, so then they can let their girlfriend have a say in the relationship. This is fine, of course, when you're young and living at home, but it stops being fine when you're in a long-term adult relationship. Now, obviously, Truth or Dare isn't indicative of any of the above, and your girlfriend overreacted for sure, but her frustration may have come from the same place. Yeah, much like the comments, I can kind of see both situations here that maybe she was looking a bit further down the line and thinking, oh my god, he's just gonna pick his parents over me every single time, no matter what. Like, he is a mama's boy. But at the same time, I can still get the OP saying, like, it's just a fucking game, you know, get over it. But what do you guys think of this story? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 1. Next story comes from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for wanting a personal room for myself when my husband doesn't have one, and he's the one who paid for our house? Me and my husband have recently been having a conflict about personal space in our house. Since my friends are pretty split on this matter, my mother-in-law still thinks I'm a gold digger, and my own mum and dad just want me to be happy that I married a rich man. So I'm turning to a bunch of strangers on the internet to help me. My husband has a very high-paying job. We bought a house together last year when we got married. My husband paid more for the house than I did. Think 70 and 30%. I did choose the house, that's only because my husband is very indecisive when it comes to buying anything, and he gave me a set of requirements. How many rooms, bathroom, the size of backyard, finished or unfinished basement, if it had a pool. He wanted a decently large house, and frankly, I had no reason to complain. So at this point, our house looks amazing. My husband hired an interior designer, we remodeled some stuff, the only problem was the amount of rooms we had. Me and my husband share a bedroom. We have 4 other bedrooms, and 2 other rooms that branch off from the basement. Not including my husband's office that's on ground level. We don't have any kids, and we only ever plan on having one at most. So one of the other bedrooms and one of the other rooms in the basement are reserved for our future child. So before I moved in with my husband, when we started dating for the second time, I had the stuff I wasn't taking from my condo moved to my parents' house. Fast forward to now, and we still have 2 extra rooms. I remembered all the stuff I had that was just sitting in my parents' garage and decided to make a little personal room for myself. This was basically just a relaxation room with a fridge. When I was done, I happily told my husband about the project I had just finished. He was all happy for me until I said the word personal. I couldn't have a personal room if he didn't. Technically, he doesn't have his own personal room, but in reality, he kind of does. Half of our basement is his own personal space. Another TV, mini fridge, stat bar, and multiple gaming sets, and a pool table. But I do go down to the basement, not to his space unless I'm cleaning it up, and the other half of our basement is common ground that we both use. Of course, I argued that point, but he says that he paid for this house, and I couldn't just undermine him in his own house. This has never been an issue for us before. He's never brought up paying more for the house before. I don't want to be in a consistent argument with him anymore, but my pride won't let me apologize and accept it unless I know I'm in the wrong. It also doesn't have that his mother is still trying to convince him I'm a gold digger. Am I the arsehole? Edit, to clarify, I'm not stopping from having his own personal space. He can have the extra room in our basement if he wants. He just doesn't want to. He wants to make it a learning room for our future child. I don't think we need it, but that's what he wants to do. If one day he turned around and said he wanted it for personal space, then he could go ahead and take the room for himself. We're gonna go straight into the comments with this one. With a name I can't pronounce. Imagine 2 people living by themselves in a massive 5-bedroom mansion and still arguing about stuff like this. Cranberry Orange says, imagine 2 people being married and fighting over not being allowed to use the other person's stuff. A lot of things about this post are very off to me. MJR511 says, I'm gonna say you're the arsehole, but this is because you went off and did the room without discussing it with your husband beforehand. From the sounds of it, there's plenty of space for both of you, so having a room to yourself sounds fine, as he has the basement mostly to himself and an office, but for me, this should have been discussed beforehand. Regular Venus 27 says, why should she have to consent from her husband to make a personal space for herself in her own home? There's plenty of space for him to do the same as he wishes. Then MJR511 replies again, saying, it's not necessarily consent but agreement. It's not her house, it's their house. I wouldn't think it's okay for him to go off and do something like this without asking her either. And then there was another comment below which just said, rich people problems. That's so true. And I kind of agree with MJR there and saying like, yeah, I don't think it's an issue, but it should have been discussed beforehand. You know, if it is there, it is totally their home. Even though she did play 30%, I think that's relevant in this situation. They're doing it together. They need to make these decisions together, basically, and that's it. But what do you guys think of the story? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to vote on the poll in the description for story 2. Our next story comes from, am I the arsehole encouraged? Am I the arsehole for encouraging my son to be gay? This happened before lockdown, I just keep thinking about it. My wife, 35 female, and I, 37 male, have a 12-year-old son. My wife's usually picked up our son from school, and one day she saw him walking out of class with a female classmate. At dinner that night, she brought it up, said how they look cute together, and how they seem to be so close. Much to my son's dismay and embarrassment, she kept joking that they would be such a cute couple and whatnot. She made one comment about how when he gets a girlfriend, she'd want to meet her straight away. I very casually said, or boyfriend, at the end of my wife's sentence. My wife and I are not homophobic in any form, and if my son were to be gay or bi or any variant of the LGBTQ+ community, we would be accepting, as every parent should. However, I made that comment, my son was extremely uncomfortable and excused himself from the table to eat in his room. My wife told me it was inappropriate to say that because it made him uncomfortable. I said that she was already making him uncomfortable with saying all this stuff about his classmates. She said that she was only doing it to encourage him to be open to us about his future relationships and to show him he can talk to us about anything. So said I was also encouraging him to be open to us because I showed him that we wouldn't care about his sexual preference so he could see. If he were gay, we'd be accepting. My wife said he's too young to know if he's gay or not, and that I was encouraging him to be gay when he's too young to understand. I called her out on her comment and said she sounded homophobic, and she got very angry with me. A little while later, after the argument ended, my wife went over to apologize to our son for making him uncomfortable. When she came out of his room, she told me to go and speak to him and apologized too. I went to his room and said sorry if the comment made him feel uncomfortable, but I was just trying to show him his mother and I would be accepting. He told me he was straight, and I told him he's young, that if things changed in the future, we would be accepting. My wife overheard this and she lost it at me. She told me to stop trying to force our son to be gay when he told me that he's straight. Another argument ensued, and honestly, I don't think I've done anything wrong. I'm just showing him we would be accepting, but she keeps saying I'm making inappropriate comments, which just makes him uncomfortable. My wife went to speak to our son again and asked him if he was uncomfortable with the comments I keep making, and he said, I'm straight, can you just leave it at that and shut up? I know my son may have been uncomfortable with the comments I made, but I think it's worth it if that means he would open up to us about sexuality in future. My wife is insisting that he's straight, so there's no need to keep bringing up the possibility that he's gay, and I'm trying to force our son to be gay. Update. Wow, this blew up. It blew up so much apparently that my son has seen this. We had a conversation and he told me I could post it here to give you guys closure. First and foremost, thank you for all the clarity that I am the arsehole and I was being invasive and dismissive. Parenting is hard and my efforts to be open-minded and approachable father sometimes don't go as well as planned. My son saw this post and came to talk to me. We had an open and honest conversation about boundaries, and he said that he gets I'm coming from a place of love when I try to have these conversations, but sometimes he doesn't want to talk. I expressed to him the fear that would keep things from me, like my gay brother kept things from my dad when we were growing up. I told him I would love him no matter who he loved, and I just wanted to be a part of his life and for him to be open to me. He said thanks and we hugged it out. He then told me about his crush, who was the girl who his mother saw him walking with. It was a nice chat, and I think it made us closer. Thank you, Reddit. Also, although some of you seem convinced my wife is homophobic, she is not. That is all. I gotta say, if I was that son, without the update, I think I feel uncomfortable as well. The way they were both sort of pushing him, oh, you got a girlfriend, oh, you want to be gay. They must have been so overbearing that I don't blame him for wanting to go to his room to eat food, you know. But it sounded like a wholesome ending to that. And before we go into the comments below, we have to consider that these comments may have been before the update, so take that into consideration as well. Sean9111 says, everyone sucks here. You're both making your son uncomfortable. Not every single teenager, preteen here, is going to want to talk to their parents about their sexuality. You know he's uncomfortable, but yet you both continue to push the issue. Basically, you are saying, I know he's uncomfortable, I don't care, as long as I get my say. Call sign Hot Dog says, my parents were like these two. They're intensely overbearing anytime I had a slightest interaction with any girl my age. I think they were just excited and trying to show an interest. I found it mortifying. I stopped telling about my love life because I didn't want to have the overbearing conversations. I'm 28 now, and I still don't really talk about my relationships with them. Because I learned from a young age that any conversation with my parents about love will be 20 minutes of my parents making way too big of a deal about it and grilling me with every possible question. Snowdo Drown says, not the arsehole. I understand that everyone sucks here comments, saying you both made him uncomfortable, but I disagree with this. Your wife started the relationship discussion. All you did was clarify that you would support him, no matter what. You weren't being pushy or pushing some agenda on him. Your wife is overreacting, and it makes me wonder if she's one of those, I don't mind gay people as long as they're not my children, kind of homophobes. You weren't doing anything wrong. When my little brother was the same age, my family would ask him if he had crushes on any girls. I would always add, all boys. That's not making him gay. That's just letting him know he could be open-minded, and we would support him. He recently came out as being bi, and I believe this open-mindedness led him to exploring those attractions early on, causing him to have a healthy mindset around his sexuality. He didn't have to spend years struggling with his sexuality, doubting if what he felt was normal. It all felt a very natural, healthy process for him, and I'm happy he could figure out this at a young age. You're a good father. Now, once again, I turn it to you guys, and have your opinions before the update, obviously. Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on the poll in the description for story 3. Our next is from Falling Again. Am I the arsehole for coming out as a lesbian immediately after publicly separating from my husband? My ex and I didn't have a great relationship, and I was also questioning my sexuality for about a year before I decided to end it, for other reasons. Edit. He was petty, childish, inconsiderate of my feelings, and decided that if he had a bad day, I'd have a bad day too. Shortly after we told our families and friends, we were calling it quits. I also came to the conclusion that I'm a lesbian, and I publicly came out for the end of Pride Month. My ex is really upset about this and thinks I should have waited a while, because now people think he turned me into a lesbian. Apparently his friends have been making fun of him for it. Am I the arsehole? We're going to go straight to the comments with this one with Cambridge, saying, not the arsehole, you get to decide when you come out, and turning someone into a lesbian is ridiculous. That said, while it's nobody's business, people do talk. Coming out immediately post-divorce is going to cause a lot of assumptions about your marriage and why it ended. John Smith 1971 says, this is what came here to say, but I'd go with nobody's an arsehole here instead. Your ex's friends are giving him a hard time, and he's hurt right now, so it makes it worse. Carhout 2017 says, it sounds like his friends are the arseholes, not AP, and maybe not the ex. I don't know. I'm on the fence about him still trying to control his ex's behavior when they formally severed ties. Maybe your ex should rethink alleged friendship for toxic people and make fun of someone who is still emotionally raw from a divorce. Holiday Age 883 says, not the arsehole, and if men could turn women into lesbians, there'd be way more lesbians in the world. And the other way round. With that logic, all those middle-aged men in the trope of, oh, my ball and chain wife is such a nag, she actually wants me to talk to her, but she's so dense, ah ha ha, would also be gay. And the next comment says, I'd definitely be gay, not because I didn't like girls, it would just be awesome if me and my buddies could fuck. God damn it, someone had to go there. I mean, you separated, you can do what the hell you want with your life after, you know, if his buddies are giving him a ribbon because of it, That's his fucking problem. His buddies are assholes, basically, so he needs to deal with them and start telling them to stop being such dickheads, right? What do you guys think of this story? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 4. Our final story is from Sikazfu. Am I Yasif? I didn't give my sisters back, even though I adopted them. Hi, first time post on here, and I do feel like the arsehole button, much sure. But here goes anyways. Sorry if I'm all over the place. So about 4 months ago, I, 27 female, adopted my 2 younger sisters, Julie 4 and Jackie 6. I'd raised them since my dad and their mother, my stepmom, were constantly working and all partying, acting like they didn't have kids. I adopted my sisters because they were practically given to me, and I officially went to court for them, and I'm legal guardian now. Well, the thing was their mum was pregnant with triplets, and so having 3 more babies plus 2 toddlers would be a handful to deal with. My boyfriend, 28, and I are well off currently, and I have our own 2-bedroom apartments. Our last roommate moved out, and we were able to pay the apartment ourselves, so I told my dad and his wife I'd be more than happy to take the girls so they could get situated with the newborns. His wife calls me and says she doesn't want the Julie or Jackie anymore since they were made out of wedlock, which I find stupid. She asked me if I would like to become legal guardian. It took me by surprise. I said I have a talk with my boyfriend about it. He was all for it, as we'd been together a little bit longer than the girls were even born. Julie and Jackie liked my boyfriend, and so he was all for it. We'd gotten a lawyer and signed all the forms and got interviewed, closed the adoptions, as my dad and his wife said they'd be seeing the girls as grandchildren and not their children. Important for later. In the end, we were given the green light and brought the girls to live with us. We situated them well in March, right before the pandemic closed everything down, and on March 29th, their mother gave birth to 3 premature babies. 2 boys were stillborn and a little girl was barely holding on, but died 3 days later. Julie and Jackie were sad, yet indifferent, as they weren't babied by their parents. So now here's why I feel like I need a vote if I'm the asshole or not. A week ago, my lawyer contacted me, saying my parents wants to go over the visitation scheduling and days they can keep the girls. I was puzzled and told him to tell my parents that would be when the girls would want to go. So on the girls' term if they wanted to go, theirs, not mine. The mother called and texted me non-stop, claiming I was a devil for not giving her the girls back. I called my dad and told him I understand you're mourning your triplets, but taking the girls back won't do anything different. My dad explained how they feel horrible for barely keeping up Jackie and Julie, and how they should have taken better care of them. I understand that this epiphany was sudden, but also they gave the girls to me, and I love them like my own, and practically raised them. I do give them visitation, but my dad and his wife came once a month, and played with the girls in their room for like an hour or 2, and then leave. So Reddit, am I the arsehole for not giving my sisters back to their parents, even though they gave them to me? What the hell, man? This parents just treating those poor little kids like toys, like they can just throw them away when they're getting some new ones. How ridiculous is that? There's no way that Oki can be the asshole in this situation. And saying stuff like that, the ages they are now. I mean, how old were they? They were like 4 and 6, and they said, "Oh yeah, you can just have them." What kind of logic is this, man? Oh, I'm blown away by this one. I'm going down in the comments below to see what we can see. Troy91 says, not the arsehole. What happened if they get pregnant again? Are they going to throw them away again? They made their shitty decision, and now they have to deal with it. Best of luck to your little family. And now Kitty replies, this was exactly my first thought. You are the stability and love they need. Nobody in their right mind completely terminates parental rights for children they want. It doesn't matter what your dad and stepmom want now. What matters is what's best for the children, and that is exactly what you're doing. Not the arsehole times a million. Proop says, oh god, not the arsehole. I have a terrible feeling if you let the girls go to the house, you'd have a very hard time getting them back. Do what seems best to protect them. It's not an oopsie daisies to have someone adopt your children. You don't get to just undo that. Stand your ground. The OP then replies, I don't let the girls go with them, and usually, when they come over for visitations, the door is open. They cross my room. Usually my boyfriend is sitting on his computer, peeking in while I'm making food or walking a dog or doing something. But my boyfriend and I discussed cutting visitations, and we sat the girls down and asked them. They're very indifferent with them, and personally Jackie is afraid of her mother and Julie is scared of our dad. Them being afraid was a big push when they were signing them over and made the process of adopting them easier. Wow. And for the final time, I turn it to you guys. What do you guys think of this story? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 5. Once again, guys, thank you for being here. You are truly, truly appreciated. If you did enjoy the video, there's another one on your screen right now. If you click it and watch it, it will really help this channel out, and hopefully you will enjoy it too. Don't forget to click that like and subscribe button, all that kind of good stuff. Thank you for your time out your day, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Much love, guys. Take care now. Goodbye.